Hello and welcome back to the Distressed Princess. I'm Rhonda. Today I have a mega Christmas video to get your Christmas crafting season started. So let's not waste any time and get right into the first DIY. Let's make some faux birch logs. I actually had some real ones at one time. I don't even know what happened to them, but I'm really sad that they're gone. So I'm going to make some fake ones, and this time I'm going to make sure I know where they're at. So what you'll need for this DIY is some empty paper towel rolls and some empty gift wrap rolls. The first thing I did was cut down the gift wrap roll to be just a little bit bigger than the paper towel roll. And I'm going to cut a few different sizes because these logs were not cut uniform in the forest. And for some reason, I really thought that gift wrap roll was going to be harder to cut than what it was. So I'm using a knife. I really think some scissors would have done the trick though. So I was able to get 3 logs out of the 1 gift wrap roll, and then the paper towel roll will be a 4th log. Next, you'll need some brown craft paper that you can get at the Dollar Tree. You'll need to cut a pretty good size square of it off, and you'll need more as you go, but start with a pretty good size square, and then you want to cut it in a couple of different pieces just so it's easier to work with. Next, you will crumple up your pieces of paper. Crumple them up really good. Make that ball really tight so that all of the wrinkles are pretty deep set. Now tear that craft paper into strips. It's best if you don't leave any straight edges, and I didn't think about that at first, but before I apply this to the log, I do think about it and I don't let there be any straight edges. Now you need to cover the ends of your pretend log, unless you want it to be a hollow log. And I'm using some wide painter's tape to do this. And I'm just going to take 2 pieces and make like a cross and make sure that it's all sealed up. And of course, do this on both ends. Then just use Mod Podge to stick down all your pieces of crumpled craft paper all over the fake log. Now, I lost a little bit of footage doing this, I apologize, but there's really nothing to it. And then once you get your paper stuck to the log, then do a layer all over the top of it as well. When the Mod Podge is completely dry, now it's time for painting. And I'm using my Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint and a regular paintbrush this time instead of a foam paintbrush. And it only took 1 coat because look how that does with this paintbrush. It just kind of naturally gives a wood look. And after the white chalk paint has dried, now it's time for details. And I'm using the Waverly chalk paint and truffle, but I imagine you could use any kind of brown paint or maybe even black paint. And I'm using my regular bristle brush again, and I'm just going to very, very lightly dry brush that truffle paint onto the log. Then for more detail, I'm adding some gray chalk paint into the mix. And this time I'm using a foam brush, and I'm trying to kind of cut in those lines that you see that are on the birch trees. And don't forget to put some color on the ends of the logs as well. So that was pretty easy. It didn't really take that long, and now I have all these birch logs that I got to think of what I want to do with. So I decided I wanted to group them all together and make a little display with them. So I got a large enough rubber band that I could stack them all and keep them the way that I want them to look. And because this is a cabin video, I'm using red buffalo check ribbon to wrap around them. Then I added some frosty Christmas greenery that I got at the Dollar Tree when it was a hot commodity. You gotta act quick when it comes to the Christmas greenery at Dollar Tree. And I cut them off, individually off of the stems, and now I'm going to tie them down to the whole bunch with jute string. And there is no doubt about it, this was my favorite project out of these Christmas cabin DIYs today. DIY for our cozy cabin, I think we need a blanket. I got this one half price after Christmas last year at the Dollar General store. And I'm going to personalize it using my Cricut and this Smart Iron-On glitter vinyl. I'm going to add my detail just on one corner of the blanket. So I unfolded it and now I'm just using my Cricut Easy Press to iron it out. And here is the transfer that I made for the blanket. I'm just going to center it, just, eyeballing it into the corner of that blanket. And then I used my Cricut Easy Press set at 330 degrees and let it go for 30 seconds. Then flip it over and press it again for 15 seconds. The transfer sheet is cool, then I peeled it off. And that's all there was to it, a personalized Christmas movie watching blanket. My next project is involving something that I picked up from the antique store. It's these little white children's ice skates. I have always wanted to make a winter decoration with ice skates, and these just called out to me. They were $15 at the antique store, and I had to have them. But you see, they did have quite a few scuffs on them and something purple on one of them. And so I decided I would try to clean them using this shoe eraser thing that I found at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. I've never used one of these before. It looks kind of like a magic eraser, so I was hoping it would work as well as a magic eraser. All you have to do is wet it with water, the instructions say, and you're supposed to scrub with the orange side of the sponge and then buff away any dirt with the white side of the sponge. Well, I used both sides of the sponge and it didn't look like it really was doing any cleaning at all to me. So then I got out my Dawn Power Wash and I sprayed them down and used that shoe eraser thing as my scrubber for the Dawn. If this was a pair of shoes that I was actually going to wear, I would have took the laces out and put them in the laundry and everything. But since it's just a decoration and I want them to look vintage and worn anyway, I wasn't all that concerned with everything coming clean, but I did want them wiped down. After they were wiped down and dried off, then I wanted to do something with the blades. And I wanted it to look like they had snow on them or ice from skating around. So I'm using some Epsom salts that's actually from the jar that's in my bathroom. I actually use these Epsom salts. They're Dr. Teal's and they are wonderful smelling. But I'm going to sacrifice my Dr. Teal's by putting them on the ice skates. And I did that just by putting some white glue on the blades. And then I sprinkled the Epsom salts on top of the glue. I wanted some winter greenery inside of the skates, so I'm running low on my greenery. I opted for these little miniature trees from the Dollar Tree, and I thought they worked just fine in the top of these skates. I wanted there to be a nice big bow, so I'm using some burlap ribbon and I just form it into the shape of a bow, and I'm going to use a zip tie from the Dollar Tree to hold it in place and secure it down. Then I folded the ends of the ribbon and cut the tails. And to hide the zip tie, I cut a little sliver of the burlap ribbon to go around the center, and this also serves another purpose. You're going to need some jute string or any kind of string that you can use to attach this bow to your ice skate, because I tried, hot glue will not stick to the leather on ice skate or whatever the ice skates are made out of. It just falls right off. So you need to somehow attach a string so you can tie it on. And so I'm using that center piece of burlap ribbon to run my jute string through and hot glue that center piece all in place. And because I think they make everything cuter, I added a pine cone to my jute string. And then you can take both pieces of your jute string and run it through the top eyelet of one of your skates. And then you can tie it on there, and that's how it attaches. Then you can put your trees in the top of the skate. Don't forget to tie your shoelaces. Then I used macrame cord to string them up, but you could absolutely use yarn or jute string, whatever you have on hand. And all I did was run it through the other eyelet on the other side of the skates and tied them together. And now I can mark this one off my list of crafts I always wanted to do. Look at this mug. It came from the Christmas tree shop. I don't need any more Christmas mugs. I don't need any more mugs, period, at all. My cabinet can't hold anymore. But I couldn't leave it behind because it was so stinking pretty. So I'm going to make a craft out of it. I'm going to try to make it a base for a little winter scene that's going to go on top of it. And so first I needed to stuff the inside of the mug with something, and I just used some newspaper. Next, I needed some snowy ground cover, so I'm using a microfiber mop pad from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it down to where it overlaps the mug just a hair. Then I hot glued it all around the edges and some in the center too. I'm using some of the white bottle brush trees from the Dollar Tree and a deer ornament that I think came from the Dollar General store. But I wasn't really tickled about the look this deer was giving me. It looked kind of angry. So I thought maybe I could fix that. I was hoping I could fix it. I grabbed my fine tip Sharpie pen and I tried to make the eyes a little fuller, and I drew in some lashes. Then I hot glued the trees and the deer to the top of the mug. And I feel like this was a perfect solution for being able to see this cute mug that I bought at the Christmas tree shop and not having to clutter up my mug cabinet. I have always loved these little white Bibles that they have at the Dollar Tree, and so I wanted to turn it into a nice Christmas decoration. All I did was add some frosty Christmas greenery that was from the Dollar Tree, a piece of burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and some little pine cones from the Dollar Tree. So this is a totally Dollar Tree project. I just hot glued everything in place. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I did it so you can pick which one you like better. And this was the first version, and I wasn't sure about the size of the pine cone. I thought it might be too big for the little Bible. And I also was sad that my burlap ribbon was covering up the golden words on the top of the Bible. It was on the side, on the binding, but it was covering up the Holy Bible on the top. So then I decided to take everything off and switch it in the other direction. So now I'm wrapping my ribbon around at the bottom of the Bible, and I'm gonna have to cut some of that off. And I hot glued it all back in place and replaced that large pine cone with the smaller ones. And I added a white sheer ribbon bow, and the ribbon also came from the Dollar Tree. And I really think that I like the second version better, but you let me know in the comments which one you like better. For the first one, you'll need some Crayola Model Magic that you can get at either, oh gosh, there's probably multiple places to get it, but I got mine at the Dollar General store, but I have seen it at the Dollar Tree before, and I'm sure Walmart carries it as well. So all you need though is just one package, so $1 ought to do it. And what it is air dry clay, and this is my very first time ever trying to use it, so you're learning along with me. I'm using a rolling pin to roll it out a little flatter, and I'm going to make a gingerbread man. And I don't know how well this stores. I just rolled this excess back up into a ball and put it in a sandwich bag with all the air kind of pushed out of it, so maybe it won't dry out. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I hope so, because this was really fun rolling out this little dough. Now I'm going to transfer the gingerbread man onto a paper plate, and I'm using a little spatula tool that I got at the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to leave that to dry overnight. While my gingerbread is drying, now I'm going to work on the frame. I want this frame to be red, and so I'm really glad that this is the kind of frame from the Dollar Tree that you can just pop out the back. You can paint the frame whatever color you need it to be, and you don't have to disassemble a whole bunch of stuff, and nothing breaks while you're trying to take it apart. And so I'm just going to use some apple barrel red acrylic paint. And I quickly found out that this is one of those frames from the Dollar Tree that doesn't want to take paint very well. So what you need to do is rough it up a little bit. Use some sandpaper. I'm using a sanding block, but rough up the edges of that frame. It doesn't take very much. And make sure that you get all of the sanding dust blown away, and then your paint will stick. I put 2 coats of the red paint, and I did all around all the edges and sides. Next, you'll work on the backing of the sign, and what you want is just a plain white background. So you'll have to remove the paper that's on this backing. Then I used my sanding block to sand off the rest of that paper that didn't want to come unstuck. Looks don't really matter. What you're going for is smoothness, so just make sure that it's as smooth as you can get it. And this little guy has been such a wonderful purchase. It's in my Amazon store, which is linked in my description box below. It's a little ladybug vacuum cleaner, and it's perfect for all these little messes when you're crafting. And it's surprisingly powerful. Now for painting the background, and what else but Rust-Oleum chalked in linen white. And to make the surface as smooth as we can, I went over it just lightly with the sanding block. This is my gingerbread man after he sat out all night. He's still just a little bit squishy, so I'm trying to be really careful with him. I think the package said it would be completely dry in 24 hours, but it's not really been 24 hours. It's really just been overnight, so I'm trying to be very careful with him. But I'm going to paint him, and I'm using apple barrel acrylic paint in chestnut. I didn't worry about painting the back of this gingerbread man because he's going to be glued onto our sign, but I did make sure that all around his fat little chubby arms and legs and his head, all the edges were completely covered in that brown paint. When the brown paint is dry, then it's time to decorate him. And I'm using this 3D fabric paint that you get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use all 3 colors, white, black, and red, to make his little trimmings, his eyes, and buttons. I don't remember what the package said about drying time, if it was 24 hours or 72. Either way, I never wait the entire time. I put him aside to dry, and then I came back to him just a little bit later. You'd probably be wise to just go ahead and wait the entire drying time. I'm just really impatient, so I'm just trying to be very gentle with him so that the paint doesn't get touched, and I'm going to go on with my project. Next part being the lettering, and as promised, no Cricut required. I'm just going to hand letter some words onto this sign, and I'm using this red Sharpie ultra fine tip pen. and I'm going to do that tall, skinny, Ray Dunn-ish font because I think that it is just the easiest thing to duplicate. Then I had a sudden idea to put some Scotch tape down. I guess you could use painter's tape. Put some kind of tape down to try to keep your lettering straight. And lastly, hot glue your gingerbread man to the sign, this time making sure he is completely dry because you don't want to hang him up and then have the paint all run. If he's not completely dry, then keep him laying flat until he is. Like our video and you like hanging out with us, then don't forget to give us a like and leave me a comment. I like to answer you back. And this way, if we have more engagement, then my video gets pushed out to more and more people, and we get more people in the Distressed Princess community, and we can all learn to craft and DIY and hang out together. I bought this thing a while back when the Dollar General was having a clearance sale, and I got it at half price for $2.50, which was such a steal, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to use it for. Now I do. It's going to be a stocking holder. Now, if of course you can't find this at your Dollar General, they don't carry them anymore because it's a different season or whatever, you'd absolutely do this project with a regular piece of wood and just buy these farmhouse hooks. You can find them on Amazon. I'll link them down in my Amazon store so they'll be easy for you to get to. I wanted to paint this piece of wood, so I had to remove my hooks first. Then I slapped on one coat of my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, and when I say slapped on, I mean slapped on. I wanted this to look rustic. I didn't want it totally covered. I wanted the brush strokes. I wanted some of the edges exposed. I wanted this to not be perfect. Then I worked on the wooden snowflakes that I'm going to decorate it with, which these snowflakes came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use my Waverly Antique Wax and a baby wipe to stain them. Then to make them look snowy, I dry brushed a little of that white chalk paint around the edges of the snowflake and just a little tiny bit in the centers. I replaced the hooks onto the wooden board, and I hot glued the two snowflakes in between the hooks. And now I have a cute place to hang my stocking so Santa can go ahead and fill it on up. This is a printable that I purchased off of Etsy for just a couple dollars, and it is a replica of the old Shiny Bright Ornament boxes. And I was so excited to do this because if you'll remember, back when I did a vintage Halloween / Christmas decor hunt at the antique stores, I saw someone using what I thought was real boxes to make these dioramas. Well, I've figured out now. I think this is what they did. They bought these off of Etsy and made them themselves. And so that's what I'm going to do today. Even though I did see something that maybe is similar, might not have been the same thing in the antique store, the printout I printed said for personal use only, for no commercial use. So don't try to print this one and sell it. I printed mine on cardstock paper. It takes 2 sheets, one for the top part and one for the bottom part of the box. And the instructions are printed right on there, and all it is folding and cutting. And I used Scotch tape to secure the corner flaps in place. But I got excited. Before I assembled the box, I really should have cut the tree out first. So I go back in and cut the tree out, but it would have been a lot simpler. I mean, I could have just ran along the edge of that tree with a utility knife a lot easier with the box flaps not taped down than having to go back and do it with scissors now. So learn from my mistakes. Do the cutting of the tree out first. I wanted there to be a pretty background, so I picked out some scrapbook paper I had that I thought coordinated well. I traced the bottom of the box onto the paper. I cut that out, and then I glued it with white school glue onto the bottom of the inside of the box. Now you can put the top back on the box and she's ready for decorating. The ones in the antique store that I saw were decorated all kinds of different ways with all kinds of different stuff. So it's just up to you what you want to put inside your diorama. I went with a couple of bottle brush trees and a little reindeer. That was very important. I wanted there to be a little vintage reindeer. And here's where we get to use another vintage printout. If you Google vintage deer printable, you'll come up with all kinds of little images that you can save to your computer or your phone and just print them out on your printer. And it's important to print them out on cardstock paper so that they're heavier and they'll stand up. The bottle brush trees I'm using came from Target because I am out of these little trees. I had so many of them last year and they're all gone now. I must have used them all. Anyhow, I couldn't find any more at the Dollar Tree. I couldn't find any more at Walmart. So here I have this Target kind and there's no snow on them. So I have to remedy that by putting some acrylic white paint on these trees to act as snow. But of course, if you're able to, you can find them with snow already on them. Next, I thought there should be something in the bottom of the box, kind of like grass, I don't know, some sort of a filler. So I grabbed this tinsel garland from the Dollar Tree because this silver reminded me a lot of the 50s and 60s tinsel trees. So I'm going to incorporate some of that silver into my diorama. And I just used hot glue to stick that piece of tinsel down to the bottom. Then I hot glued the trees to the tinsel, but then I also put a little dot of hot glue on the back of the box so that the tree would be touching, so it's glued in 2 places so it's not flopping over inside of the box. And the second tree I glued right to the back of the box. And for the little deer, I put little tiny dots of hot glue on the bottoms of his hooves and I attached him to the inside top part of the box. Then I felt like the top part was kind of plain and needed something, so I'm going to steal some more of the snowflakes off of this card holder garland thing, and I'm going to glue those to the top part, like over the trees. Now, if you had any snowflake stickers or something like that, even some wooden, if you had some glittery wooden snowflakes that you could paint, yes, that would be adorable. So here it is, all put together. It didn't really take much time, and I love it. My very favorite trending items to DIY with are these clear plastic Christmas balls. And last year I used these to put some Epsom salt and some fake snow into and a little sprig of greenery, and that is really cute. But I wanted to think of some new things to put inside these clear plastic balls, and so I'm going to try this Snowflake Garland from the Dollar Tree. This DIY could not be easier. Just feed the garland into the ball, and I did, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet worth inside, because if you get too much, then you can't see the individual little snowflakes hanging inside there. So I went minimal with it, and I cut off the amount that I thought looked good. And then I hot glued the end of the garland to the top inside of the ornament so that it stays in place and doesn't all just fall to the bottom. And then just replace the cap. To cutie pie it up some more, I hot glued some of that frosty greenery onto the top. And I wanted to use a snowflake, so I used one of those snowflakes from the first DIY, the vase filler styrofoam, and I hot glued it to the top of the cap. Something about those cute little snowflakes just hanging inside that clear ornament makes me so happy. It's just so cheerful. One, you'll need these metal houses that you get at the Dollar Tree. I'm really hoping that some of you can find these houses in your stores. I realize not all the Dollar Trees carry the same stuff, but if you're fortunate enough that you see these, pick them up. Secondly, you'll need one of these cake boards that I think is a newer item at the Dollar Tree, and I really love the scalloped edges. You'll also need something. It doesn't have to be this exact thing. This is a muffler from the Dollar Tree, but you could also use one of their microfiber cloths that looks like white snow. And you'll need some white bottle brush trees, and you can find those at the Dollar Tree too. Also, you'll need some little fake snow, and this one came in a big bag from somewhere, I don't remember where, but the Dollar Tree does carry it. To get started, you'll need to prepare whatever it is you're using for your ground snow cover, which is this muffler that I found, which is really soft and furry, and I just loved it. I almost hated to cut it up, but anyway, I cut the tag off of it, and since it's in a circle, I had to cut it into 2 pieces so that it will fit on 1/2 of this cake board. Next, I needed to cut the cake board in half lengthwise. However, just trying to do it with scissors was going to be a little difficult because this cake board is kind of a thick cardboard. So I went to get my cutting mat and a utility knife. Now it's the perfect size for my material that's going to serve as fake snow, and so I hot glued it down to the cake board. Then I went back and made sure that the corners and all the edges were hot glued very well. Then I decided to flip it over and wrap the corners around and hot glue them to the underside because I thought that gave it a more finished look. Now here comes the messy part. I'm not going to paint these houses because I really liked their original green color. However, I wanted them to have some snowy roofs because there's snow on the ground, there should be snow on the roof too, right? So I wanted to use that big bag of snow flurries and cover the roof, all the roofs in snow. And the way that I did it was I used regular school glue and I brushed it onto the tops of all of the roofs, and then I sprinkled the snowflakes on top. And so that's why I have this old baking sheet to catch the snow that doesn't stick to the roof. And yes, indeed, it is as fun as it looks. Sprinkling the snow on the tops of these houses was just so much fun. I can't explain why. I guess it's kind of making a mess, but it's a controlled mess, and it just turns out really stinking cute. I really wanted this snow to stay in place and not be flaking off all over the place, so I decided to use a method that works well with glitter. I'm not sure if it's going to work so great with the snow or not, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm just going to spray a boatload of hairspray on top and see if that will kind of stickify the snow so that it doesn't go anywhere. These houses have a little star cutout at the top of them that I'm not a fan of, so I'm going to use these snowflakes instead. And I know that you can get some snowflake stickers at Dollar Tree. I didn't have the stickers, so that's why I'm using this card holder, clothespin, little garland thing. I'm just going to steal the snowflakes off of that, and I'm going to hot glue them around 2 of the cutout stars on 2 of the houses. For the third house, I'm going to make a little teeny tiny wreath to go around where its star cutout is. And so I just use a sprig of leftover greenery from who knows what. And I'm going to form it into a little tiny wreath. And then I want to flock it with some quote unquote snow by using some white craft paint. And then it gets hot glued to the house right over the star cutout. Next, I arranged all the houses and trees where I wanted them to go onto the little snowy ground. And once I figured out exactly where I wanted everything to be, then I hot glued everything into place. And since these houses are actually tea light holders, then you should get some Dollar Tree LED tea lights to light them up. And so here's my take on a fun little Christmas village from the Dollar Tree. There are a few different things that you can use to make this next DIY, which is going to be a wreath. And this is what I had on hand, so this is what I'm using. But to make things simpler for yourself, if you have or have access to one of the just plain gold rings that you get at the Dollar Tree, that would be perfect. Because I had to dismantle this whole thing. I had to take all this greenery off and everything just to get to the little metal ring that's on the inside. And just like all the other DIYs today, it's just the simplest thing ever. Just take that really pretty snowflake garland from the Dollar Tree and wrap around the ring. To decorate it, I'm using one of these really cute ornaments from the Dollar Tree. And it is absolutely cute, just the way it is. However, I wanted to replace the red berries. Well, I want to take the red berries off altogether and replace the buffalo check bow so that it will match my other DIYs today a little better. So in its place, I'm going to use that more neutral striped Dollar Tree ribbon. I just made a little bow and hot glued it to the center. I hot glued the ornament to the wreath. And on the back side, I used a gob of hot glue. I used a whole bunch because I wanted to make sure that it was going to really stay stuck. I did add a jute string hanger, which was just a piece of jute string I tied to the ring, and I didn't get that on camera. But here's the end result. My gosh, I love it so much. To the next DIY, it's these Nutcrackers that came from Dollar Tree, but I never really liked Nutcrackers until I went to that Christmas shop and I saw what cute colors they could be. So I thought, why couldn't I take these $1 Nutcrackers that I'm not really crazy about and turn them into these cute ones that I loved? I pretty much wanted to stick to the color scheme like I saw the ones in the store because I loved them so much. So I picked out all of my light cotton candy-ish colors, my pink, my lavender, my baby blue. I'm going to use a little bit of gray for the belt and their swords and that staff. And I'm also going to use some gold. Oh, and white for some details and their boots. Let me just tell you, painting these little fellers was really relaxing. I just sat down at my table and just started painting away. And yeah, it took a couple coats. It took some time. It took a steady hand to get some of these details. And I am in no way saying that my painting of these Nutcrackers is perfection, because it is not. But I'm not looking for perfection anyway. I just wanted them to be cute. And speaking of cute, Somebody tried to run off with my paintbrush. As a matter of fact, he didn't run off with this one, but he did get a hold of another paintbrush that I've still yet to find. It's in his house somewhere. I don't know what he did with it. The Nutcrackers in the store had white eyebrows and a mustache. And so I thought that would go better with the colors too. So I wanted to paint over the black ones that were on these Dollar Tree ones. And I thought the best way to go about that would be with my white paint pen, but it just wasn't working out very well. So I scrapped that and I got a really thin brush and just tried my best to have as good a steady hand as I could to just paint it on with white acrylic paint. And I did use a gold marker from the Dollar Tree. I love these markers, honestly. And I used it to put the details, the laces on their boots, the buttons on their jackets, and a few other little details. And here is a before the Nutcrackers from the Dollar Tree in their standard Nutcracker colors. And here is the after in their sweet cotton candy pastel colors. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with all new Christmas DIYs for 2022, and I'll see you next time. Bye.